I signed a new executive order requiring federal contractors to allow employees who work on our contracts to earn up to 7 paid sick days a year.
And there's President Obama on Monday announcing 7 days of paid sick leave now available for about 300,000 federal government contractor employees. But what about employees in the private sector? Less than half of workers have access to any paid sick leave. Melissa Burdorf is legal editor with XpertHR, and she joins us now to discuss. Welcome, Melissa. Great to have you on the show. So just to confirm, there is no federal law that requires employers in both the private and public sectors to provide sick leave.
Correct. Currently, there is no federal law that requires private employers to provide paid sick leave. President Obama has asked Congress to pass a law that would require that. However, this piece of legislation has been working its way around Congress since the early 2000s and still has a long way to go.
So, Melissa, what is the current state of affairs then in the private sector with regards to paid sick leave?
So without a federal law in place, that leaves the states and municipalities to take matters into their own hands, which over 20 municipalities and 4 states have chosen to do so, Oregon being the latest one. In some of these states, such as New Jersey, 9 municipalities have such a law, all with differing requirements. So unfortunately for employers, there's no full consistency across all these jurisdictions, so they have to actually check the requirements in all the locations where they have employees.
I can imagine that can get a little confusing. So what advice does your company, XpertHR, offer other companies to help them ensure that they are compliant with all the changing paid sick leave landscape?
So the biggest advice that XpertHR would say is watch this trend and expect the number of jurisdictions to grow. They have more than doubled in just the past year. And even small employers, those with even just one employee, can be subject to some of these laws. So the first step, XpertHR would say, is employers need to determine if the new law actually applies to their workplace. And then they would want to audit their workforce to see who may be eligible for leave, because sometimes this can impact hiring decisions. If an employer, for example, operates in a jurisdiction where there's paid leave for employers that have 10 employees but unpaid if they have 9, hiring just one employee can swing things one way or the other. Also, very important is training supervisors. Supervisors are typically the ones who receive requests for leave. They can spot abusive leave situations, and an untrained supervisor can lead to a lot of trouble.
All right, Melissa, thank you so much for all that great advice.